All right, let's go over EU regionals. Let's talk about it. So this one is weird, man. This one's weird because, again, Barcelona has kind of thrown this for a loop, where Barcelona is probably the best team in Europe right now, or close to it. And they're the 6th seed. It's pretty wild. Dignitas, they go 2-0 as well. Huge props to them to make playoffs that way. They take down Vitality. They take down TSM, which obviously TSM maybe a little bit weaker in the grand scheme of things, but they played well versus Vitality as well. So Dignitas, Barcelona, 2 hot teams coming in. On the other side, you got Vitality versus Mousesports, where Vitality makes it in by 1 goal in overtime to make their 3 seed. And then Mousesports, it's been rough. It's been rough. Ever since the Chiefs is like, where's the offense? There hasn't been any offense. They got outscored versus Complexity, but they did win that series. A lot less passing. The 3-0 versus Dig, just super low scoring, but hey, their defense held up, so that's good. But the last time they really put up any numbers, I would say, was probably the Vitality series, and that was towards the end, where Speed goes for the 5 goals, 5 assists in the last 3 games. That's probably the last time we saw some great offense from them. And it's funny because right after that series, everyone's like, this might be the best offense in RLCS. And the last time I said that about G2, and now they're in the bottom of the league play. So who knows what's going on anymore. The really interesting part about these 4 teams, Mousesports, I would say probably a lot of people don't have them making it to the semis, right? They beat all these teams that they're about to play. They beat Vitality, they beat Dig, they beat Barcelona. So it's very interesting because they are probably the most underdogs we've had in a 3-4 matchup before to not make it in just because of their play recently. But early on in the season, they beat all these guys. So it's kind of weird, but it's just something to note. Let's get into it. Barcelona versus Dig. 2 hot teams coming in. Barcelona, it's a little harder to tell exactly how hot they are. Roniki's been a great closer. Bluey's been fantastic all season long. And Devo's playing better. When Devo's not on defense making mistakes, these guys can beat anyone, which includes Dignitas. Like Dignitas, some of the worst shooting ever in RLCS history. They are lucky that it's not the worst ever because Complexity played this season. That is the worst shooting percentage ever in RLCS history. It's a really weird season for Europe because all the shooting percentages extremely down. Number 1 in the league, 23.95% by Barcelona. That would be, I think, like either third to last or second to last from last season. So shooting percentages way down across the board. But Barcelona, they are the number 1 offense in the league. Probably the best team in terms of like their game stats for sure. But Barcelona, they will beat Dignitas here. Now we go over to Vitality Mouse. It's K-Dop. It's K-Dop in a regional championship. I think it's hard to pick against Vitality here. And sure, they did have some struggles versus Dig and versus TSM. And Mouse had some struggles, but they played better teams with Veloce and Rec. But Mouse has been a little bit questionable with their offense. Vitality as well. Their shooting percentage is extremely down as well. They're like a top 10 worst ever as well. I can't talk today, sorry. But Vitality, I think they find a way. Like, K-Dop always finds a way. I don't know why I put them in third here because that doesn't actually mean anything. So we'll just erase that. But Vitality, I would say they move on here to play Veloce. Mousesports versus Barcelona. So one thing that you guys are going to note this weekend, I'm going to be very high on Barcelona all weekend long. I do think Mousesports will lose this because, again, we'll see where their offense goes. We'll just call them Mouse here just to fit it better. But Barcelona's been doing it, man. They've been doing it so well. I don't expect that to change. And the great thing is for Barcelona, they can't choke a Game 5 and lose a series probably because it's a best of 7. So that's a good thing for like a Ronicky. But looking back on that kickoff that happened, say this result was changed and say Ronicky doesn't have a bad kickoff and Barcelona wins this in overtime, they would be the number 2 seed. They would go to 4-3 at +6. Veloce would drop to 4-3 at +1. So, like, they would be the number 2 seed. So anyone trying to count out Barcelona because of their record, probably a mistake. Now, again, in a high-pressure situation, we'll see. But last season, we saw that both these teams, combined rival series teams, both made it to the World Championship. That includes Ronicky on Triple Trouble, where he clutched it out versus PSG. So I don't expect that to be an issue. So I do think Barcelona will make it in. Now we'll talk about Vitality versus Veloce. All season long, I haven't been counting Veloce in, and I'm just going to keep doing it. Why not? I think Vitality comes out. Like, if they have a strong series versus Mouse, I think Vitality beats Veloce. Not to take away from Veloce, like, they've had a great season. It's been a little bit fluky at times, like that Dignitas error in Game 5 and the kickoff error. If those two games go differently, and obviously that's a lot, they would be in playoffs, but in Barcelona's spot. So things could have been drastically different. I think Freaky's had a wonderful season. I think Flames played really well. And Casio, 2 rival series teams in a row to make it to the World Championship. That's fantastic. But I think it's K-Dop. It's Vitality on a day 3 or a regional championship. They usually show up. So I'm going to give it to Vitality here. And that means Veloce could be 3rd or 4th, depending on the other result. Next up, we got Barcelona versus Reciprocity. Chaussette really showed up in that final week. It really looked like the old Chaussette was like, all right, guys, I can do it all. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. And they easily take out Mouse 3-0. But the best part is their defense. Been pretty good as of late, at least in that series. Obviously, versus Vitality, it didn't work out as well for them. Basically, the complete opposite, right? Where they lose to Vitality terribly, then do the same thing to Mouse. They only beat Complexity in 5 as well. So, sure, like that last result was great. I don't think they have as much momentum coming in as a number 1 seed normally would from Europe. I don't think they are a strong number 1 seed from Europe, and I think they are beatable. So I'm going to have them be beat here by Barcelona, and Barcelona is going to move on to the finals. Because why not? Let's go a little wild here. Does that fit on the screen? Reciprocity? Reciprocity, it does. So Reciprocity would then get the 3 seed. They can't get lower than the 3 seed because they were the number 1 seed in league play. Veloce would get the 4th seed. Moving on, we got Vitality versus Barcelona in the regional finals. And I think, I'm not sure, I'll have to look it up, say this does happen. But I don't know if this has ever happened where neither of the top 2 seeds made it to the finals. It probably has in Europe before. I just can't think of a time. But I'll go back and check. That being said, Barcelona versus Vitality. I'm telling you right now, guys, Barcelona might just be the best team in Europe. And I'm going to go Barcelona win this whole thing. He's going to ruin the K-Dop streak at 5 regional championships in a row. And I'm going FCB as the number 1 seed. I'm going to see a wild run here. Be like, hey, Rogue, watch this. And just go further. And I think Barcelona is going to take this regional championship. They're really good. As long as they don't do some boneheaded mistake, they could be the best team in Europe. This Reciprocity series will be the one that I think decides it for Barcelona, because I think if they get through Reciprocity, I think they're beating whoever they face in the finals. But we'll see. We'll see. But I think if Reciprocity wins this, I think Vitality probably beats Reciprocity as well. We saw them kind of outclass them last time. I think Vitality, again, they're like on and off weeks. This should be an on week, I guess. Who knows? But that's what I got. So I got Mouse falling out. So they would have had 4 chances to make Worlds, and they will fail. I believe that will probably be the first time ever where all 4 were like guaranteed in. Now, there's been other teams where it's been like, oh, if they would have done this, then sure. Like G2, I think, back in season 3 or something like that. But I think it'll be the first time ever where like they know one more win, they're in. One more win, they're in. Dignitas will get the 6th seed. And honestly, if Dignitas and Mouse played, I might be edging Dignitas right now just because I think Mouse hasn't really shown anything right now. So I think like if Dignitas had a better bracket, they would have had a chance to make it in as well. But that's what happens when you come in 5th and don't play that well throughout the season. If Veloce will get 4th seed after being a top 2 seed, then Reciprocity. Both teams lose out in their first rounds. Vitality and Barcelona will battle it out for the first place spot. Tell me I'm crazy. That's fine. That's fine. But that's my regionals there. And I do think for Europe, I think it's been a rough season, I think, in general. And that kind of shows in their shooting percentage, where the highest is 23% or 24%, if you want to round it, by Barcelona. I think it's been a little bit rough across the board for Europe in general. And I do think going into Worlds, they would be the weaker region than North America. And to be fair, like, honestly, like, I am normally very European biased because I do think they're normally better. But I do think at this Worlds, I would put NA higher than them going in. But again, the experience from Europe at the World Championships will probably help them immensely. And we'll see if that does play a factor. Obviously, they have home field advantage too. So that could play a factor for like jet lag and all that. Normally, that doesn't matter too much for players, I feel like, because that they get in so early for a World Championship. I think that would matter more at like a DreamHack because they get in later for the most part. But I would expect a lot of NA teams to hopefully boot camp over there in Europe early on. Would be smart, but we'll see what happens there. But it should be an interesting Worlds, and obviously Sam and OC, they both play this weekend too, so we'll know all the World Championship spots at the end of this weekend, so that'll be a lot of fun. I'm not going to predict those. If I had to do early bets, we'll do early bets at the end of this. Why not? Let's see. We'll go over to Oceania. Honestly, Renegades and Chiefs probably should both make it. They've both been doing really well in the gauntlet. The problem is one of them is going to have to make that run, and that's the hard part for them. They both should make it. I think if Renegades wins, and so I'm going to say both of them make it, but it's going to be a hard road because they're going to have to battle through, you know. And I think Ground Zero could take out one of these two. Same with the other team, Canberra Havoc, because they beat, I believe, Renegades and Chiefs this season. So it's possible, but I doubt they would make it just because of their experience. And it's a LAN as well. I think it's a LAN anyway. Actually, it might not be a LAN. Maybe it's not a LAN. I'm not positive of that, actually. I think it might just be in studio. But Renegades and Chiefs should make it, but again, it's a tough out that Renegades gets number one and they have to play Chiefs, who just swept them in the gauntlet. So that should be very, very interesting. And I think there could be some upsets here, and Ground Zero could sneak in once again. It says offline? Okay. Yeah, like I didn't really read it. So maybe it's a line. I'm not honestly sure. And then South America, we'll go over here real quick. And obviously, low-key, everyone expects them to make it in because obviously 20-4 first season. Oh, they did lose their final game, which is actually kind of surprising. I didn't realize that until this week because I haven't been following too close. They lost INTZ, which is a little bit of a surprise, which means INTZ definitely hot coming in as well. Now, the game didn't mean much for either of these teams, so it's like, all right, we'll see. Low-key should definitely be in. And then, let's see. So it's Loki versus Lotus. So their format's a little bit different, and I kind of like this, where the top two get a really big advantage. So Loki and Lotus will fall down to the lower final. The only problem is, obviously, the momentum is going to be on the side of whoever comes out of these four versus Lotus. Let's see. Lotus, when they played INTZ, was a 3-1. You know what? I'm going to go INTZ here. Like I haven't watched much, so I don't really know all that well. But I think INTZ, like if they can ride that momentum through, I think they can take down Lotus because I think low-key comes in and smacks Lotus probably, and that'll be a little bit demoralizing. And these teams are extremely close, so I would say INTZ because of that momentum. I would give it to them. So I'm going to go low-key and INTZ. So the same two teams from last time. Obviously different rosters, but that's what I'm going to go with. All right. It is a LAN. Okay, thank you, Vixie. So I thought it was, but I wasn't completely sure. But that'll be it for our regional championship predictions. Sorry it's a little bit short. Sorry it's a little bit rushed. Sorry it's a little bit late. Giblet's been sick, so had to deal with him. And, and we're also getting ready for the baby. So this will be my last event before being a father of two. Hopefully, God forbid, like nothing bad happens. But, so it's going to be interesting going forward. Probably be a lot less streams leading up to the World Championship, leading up even in the off season, just because I'll be taking care of the baby. But yeah, that'll do it here. Tell me why I'm wrong in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. We'll see you on Saturday and Sunday. Bye.